but he essentially says that we all fit into one of these two categories. Either we understand what's going on, we accept it, and so we therefore are in an eternal nightmare, or we try to blind ourselves to the obvious things in front of us, and we celebrate even though we're in hell. And there's nothing to celebrate in hell. That's part of the point of it. I mean, it's kind of difficult to be optimistic in hell, isn't it? I mean, how often you go through hell and you're like, yes, I'm glad I'm here. This is a good thing. Oh. So we're each either among the demoralized, which is the folks I talked about here. And these are the people who are just discouraged. And then he says, we're these losers celebrating this moment in hell. And the important thing there about, and I keep going back to, is why are they considered losers? He's considering them losers because they're not facing their reality. In other words, they're celebrating a thing that should not be celebrated. It's like they're being willfully ignorant. And so are they condemned to the exact same future as the demoralized? Yeah, we're all headed to the same place. But some people are going to distract themselves with, in this case here, a celebration. Like they're going to distract themselves with parties. They're going to distract themselves, fill in the blank. Distract ourselves with entertainment. I keep going back to this semester. Distract ourselves by just trying to stop ourselves from thinking about it. Like, for example, I was sharing with last period the ultimate statistic. You can look this up. It's online. 10 out of 10 people are going to die, which means it includes all of us. And yet some of us are able to wake up anyway and go through life and say, well, let's make the best of it. You can't change the fact that you're going to die, but you can make the best of it. You can't maybe even make anything good out of it, but you can still make the best out of it. And I asked the class last period, first period, if we actually believe that. Do we believe that we should make the best out of these negative situations? Because if you don't think so, well, then it's very difficult to make a meaningful life or to make a best version of a life, because you're going to go through negative situations a lot. By the way, people who don't make the best of situations oftentimes don't make the best of good situations either. Like I have a student in my fourth period class who made the very smart observation that when people are going through difficult times, they'll say, you know what, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And we all kind of nod and go, that's true, this will be over soon. And he said, but it's also true about the good situations of your life. Anything good in your life is also going to pass. So we're just constantly passing in and out of good situations and bad situations. And he's right. He's right about that point. We are. But if you can learn how to optimize, which is the root, by the way, of the word optimistic. To be optimistic, we think, is to only see the bright side. No, it's to focus on the bright side. To be optimistic doesn't mean that you ignore the negative things. It means that you focus on the positive things. Because whatever you focus on is going to be the thing that fills your soul. If you focus on negative all the time, well, then you're going to see negative all over the place around you. If you see positive around you, you're going to see, if you focus on the positive, you're going to see the positive around you all of the time. It's just like, we was it in this class that I showed you guys the castle? No? Oh, too bad. I'll show it to you before we do the art thing. And I'll tell you after I show you the castle thing what it is that it demonstrates. It's a castle video. But I know I've talked to you for sure before about how memory works. That when you see the world, you're seeing memories of the world, not the world in real time. I told you, have we talked about this? Very long story short, let's say that you have a rose bush outside of your house, and every morning you walk past it. When you walk past it, you aren't seeing the bush as it presently is. That takes too long for your brain to see it, to process it in real time, and then to feed it into your memory. What your brain actually does is it takes kind of like a snapshot of the rose bush the last time that you actually looked at it, and what you're seeing is a memory of the rose bush. You're not seeing the rose bush in real time. If that makes sense? And it's hard for us to get our heads around because we're like, no, that's not, but that's exactly the way that memory works. And so if you walk, so there could be like half as many roses on it, let's say, as the last time you saw it. And unless you actually stop and observe the rose bush, then your memory is always going to be when the rose bush was completely full. Now, usually things happen that catch our attention, like you see a bee, buzzing around on the roses, so it catches your attention because you see some movement, and then you look at it, and now your memory's been updated. But every time you walk past it, you're not seeing the world the way that it really is. You're seeing the world the way that you remember it. You're filling in the gaps with your memories and with your imaginations. So you're going to find that that's not just rose bushes. That's a lot of things in life, man. If you expect people to be angry and surly and sarcastic, then that's what you're going to encounter, because your mind is going to fill in the gaps and it's going to interpret the world in a way that makes sense to you. Imagine if every time you go out into the world, your expectations are completely thwarted. That's a really psychologically unsettling world, because that means that the world is unpredictable, which is scary. It doesn't coincide with the rest of what you've developed as a psychological landscape, and so you end up going crazy. So when we say people have prejudices and biases and expectations, and they're not really great things necessarily, but they do keep us sane. Unfortunately, they also keep us where we are. If you don't update your idea of the rosebush, you're going to assume it's always been the same. And if you don't update your thoughts about people and situations, every time you encounter them, you're going to think of them as the last time that you interacted with them. So like I was saying, you go to McDonald's, let's say, and there's a person who works behind the counter, and you say hello to them, and they're like, and they say, good afternoon. If you had a bad experience with them last time you were in there, you didn't hear good afternoon from them. You probably heard good afternoon, like they're annoyed at your presence. You're like, God, this person's so rude every time I'm in here. How come they don't want the job? Why they even take it? They may have just said good morning or said good afternoon. May have been in no particular situation. And chances are they don't remember you from the last time you were in there. They serve thousands of people. But you see what you expect to see. And that's why a lot of times in situations you need to go in without an expectation of it. Otherwise, you're only going to see what it is that you expect to see. And some of you, as you go through, like especially in relationships, it's not just romantic relationships, but even like with a lot of friends, you're going to find that. This is why one of those things happens where you'll be friends with people throughout high school, and you'll get a sense of this when you guys become seniors. Maybe some of you have already had a sense of this with friends you've known for a while, where you feel like all of a sudden they've changed. Like, wow, they've changed so much. Like, they're not even the same person they were right when I met them 4 years ago. They were probably changing gradually. You probably just never took time to look at the rose bush, to look at them and see that they were changing, to notice it. And then by the time you kind of like snapped out of it and you realize they're changing, they weren't just changing, they've changed. They were this person, now they're this person. And you think like, wow, how they just changed like overnight. Nobody changes overnight. Very few people change overnight. It's because we don't really assess things. We're going on in our own world, we're in our own minds. And then once in a while we get snapped out of it, we get awakened from it, and then we see, holy crap, everything's different. Everything's changed. So what it is that you expect to see is what you're going to see. If you are the demoralized and you're expecting this eternal nightmare, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the negative everywhere. If you expect to see the positive, you're going to see the positive. That doesn't mean you'll be ignorant of the negative. It just means you're going to focus on that positive. So he considers everybody to be in the same situation. It isn't that this side, the losers who are celebrating, have a better life. He still thinks that they're losers because they won't deal with reality as it really is. There's nothing optimistic at all in this quote, man. This is a very, very, very negative one. But he essentially says that we all fit into one of these two categories. Either we understand what's going on, we accept it, and so we therefore are in an eternal nightmare, or we try to blind ourselves to the obvious things in front of us, and we celebrate even though we're in hell. And there's nothing to celebrate in hell. That's part of the point of it. So, I'll leave it at that. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Friday.